One more time in the regular season in the SFL Spring 2021. It's time to strap on the pads, go to work, and potentially make the playoffs. Live from Queensway in London, England, this is the Simulation Football League Week 12 and a half, as a makeup game is on between the Houston Hyenas and London Knights, with playoff seeding on the line. Hello and a very warm welcome. My name is Michael Toronto. Alongside me is Ryan Caudill. Kevin Irvine is our commissioner and producer. And on stats, it's Mighty X and Tristan Hatley. Ryan, one more time we get to sit down and broadcast a football game.
And this is going to be a good one too. Houston, their playoff is on the line right here, right now. This is going to be the do or die time. Can they take down London and take back that final playoff spot? You know, going into the back half of the season, I thought Houston was going to be a prime playoff contender, and then they end up dropping their last 3 games. So here they're going to have to pick it back up, regroup, and take down London in order to get back into the playoffs.
A quick reminder of what is on the line tonight. If Houston wins, they are in as the 11th seed in the 12-team SFL playoffs. Arizona gets the number 12 spot. If London wins, then Los Angeles gets the number 12 and final playoff spot, and Arizona bumps up to number 11. Houston won the toss, chose to defer, and London, wearing the all-black strip tonight, gets us on the field first, and onto the field for the final time comes Angus McLean, who earlier today announced his retirement from the Simulation Football League as a player. He will be going upstairs to join the London ownership staff, and he stands under center for his final time running a first play in the league. A longtime quarterback, first with the San Francisco Sharks, and now for the last couple of seasons here in London. Here's the rest of the London starting offense. Robert Merrill is at running back. Saren Storm is at wide receiver alongside Dustin Zek and Vin Kalia. Benji Matson is the tight end. And for the defense for Houston, Wolf Justice, Mike Baker, Zach Turner, and Calibran Womack are the defensive line. Alex Perez and Brody Gulch are the linebackers. I'll get to the rest of the defensive starters for Houston after this. Second down and 6. Handoff up the middle. Will go for 1 yard. Here's the secondary. Marco Swift, Kai Cash, and Rauger Law, the corners. Ethan Kai and A.J. Barnes, the safeties. That's the Houston starting defense. A lot of black on the field tonight. All black for London with yellow and crimson highlights. Now 3rd and 5, McLean alone in the backfield, 5 wide. Over the middle, it's an all slants completed pass into Houston territory. And a first grab of the game for the tight end, Benji Matson.
Yeah, and a good, strong throw for Angus McLean, getting his first down of the game. Just right across the middle, getting the slant route, finding the space between the zones. And wouldn't it be great to see Angus McLean get his last drive of the season and have it get a touchdown?
They will remain in the 5 wide formation. McLean over the middle into traffic and hauled in for another 12-yard gain and a first down, this time to Saren Storm.
And this is going to be the key to London's success here tonight, is they're going to be using a lot of Angus McLean in his last game as a player. He's going to be throwing the ball a lot, getting this passing offense going, and they're going to be going for an air raid style tonight, I believe.
Yeah, and you can even see it with Robert Merrill, their running back. He has 200 more receiving yards on the season than rushing yards, but he does get a carry there, right back to the line of scrimmage and no further.
And that's kind of the back that Robert Merrill is. He's primarily a pass catcher. His seasons that he had with Alaska Storm and the Florida Storm, he was primarily a pass catching back for the first 7 or 6 seasons of his career. He was only catching passes.
Trips left, single right. For the second time, Merrill up the middle. Tries to find a spin move past the 30. And will be down to the 29. 3rd down and 4 coming up. And an interesting point about Merrill, as we've kind of seen the whole swing city style popularized by the old Baltimore Crabs. I remember Carolina Skyhawks ran a lot of swing passes primarily. You've kind of seen a lot of teams go away from that in recent seasons with the advent of the power pack. Over the middle, complete. Paul Hyder, the backup wide receiver, onto the field, slips the defense and picks up a first down to the 23. So Merrill, part of a dying breed, but he's been very successful this season with 5 total touchdowns.
Yeah, and he's getting the most receptions that he's ever seen in his entire career. This season is the most.
McLean under center. He's got plenty of time. Excellent play by the offensive line, and Saren Storm picks up 4 yards inside the red zone for the first time this evening. Storm in his 3rd season, first with the London Knights, played 2 seasons in Louisiana, and is close to 500 yards on the season at 471 coming into the night. Four to aim at for McLean under center. 7:15 to go. Here's Robert Merrill. Nice spin move. 2 spin moves get him free, and he's dragged down as A.J. Barnes saves a touchdown at the 8-yard line. And you said he primarily catches passes. That means he's dangerous in open space, and he found a little bit of it there.
Yeah, it looked like there was a ton of traffic, but the vision there, able to weave his way through and find the open spaces between the defenders, and mostly as a pass catcher. But this is the reason that he's kind of transitioned here towards the more traditional running back, if not, a bit of a hybrid, is because he's able to find those running lanes right up the gut.
7 in the box for Houston. London playing inside the 10 for the first time. Here's a little pitch out to Merrill. He makes a spin move, gets inside the 5, and he's down to the 3. It'll be 2nd down and goal.
And that is a nasty spin move that Morrell has in the pocketbook. Just able to pull that out at any given moment, able to just break free. Saw it on the last play, 2 little spin cycles to get the first down. That time breaking the defender's ankles and setting up an even better field position for this.
Now inside the 5, London spreads the Houston defense out with 3 receivers. Merrill sneaks out of the backfield. The pass is deflected and incomplete. He was looking for Vin Kalia in the back of the end zone. It'll be 3rd down and goal.
Yeah, that one looked a bit dangerous. Houston got their hands on the ball, but weren't able to come up with the interception. Just the deflection, but still a dangerous throw. We'll see if they opt to throw again or if they stick with the run game.
Ralger Law got his hands on the football, the rookie out of Birmingham. 3rd down and goal. Can London punch it in on the opening drive of the game? McLean to Merrill with space to work. He tries to bounce it outside, but Brody Gulch says no siree, and it's 4th and goal. Nice solo tackle.
Yeah, great play there by Houston, clearly doing their homework. We all know that Robert Merrill loves to go with the outside passes. That time, Houston was expecting it. They knew it was coming there in the red zone. They get 3 guys on Merrill, take him down, and hold London to just a field goal.
A long drive for the London Knights ends in a field goal attempt. A chip shot for Jack Lewis. It's up. It's good from 19 yards, and London takes the lead. They did take 5.5 minutes off the first quarter clock, so almost half the first period gone. And now we'll get a first chance to look at the Houston starting offense.
And I think that kind of tells me that London is wanting to control the clock and not wanting to give the ball over to E.T. King and Houston's really powerful passing offense that they have. They're going to try to conserve the clock or conserve the ball, run as much clock as they can.
Onto the field comes the Houston offense, averaging 20.5 points per game, but mostly through the air as E.T. King, the 9-season veteran, formerly of the Chicago Wildcats, steps onto the field. Over 3,000 yards passing this season, 14 touchdowns, but a whopping 31 interceptions for King. He wears number 9 and stands under center. Warren Murray, the running back behind him. Cam Jackson, the fullback next to him on his left hip. And the ball goes to Warren Murray, and he loses a yard. Here's the rest of the starting offense for Houston. Leroy Brown, Greg Corky, Kyle Finnemore, and D.R. Sim, the wide receivers. Randy Pearson, Stephen Walker, the tight ends, and James Richards is in there at guard. The defense for London looks like this. Dean Sammy, William Davidson, Chad Rowland, and Chris Joseph on the defensive line. I'll run you through the rest of the defense after this, the second at 11. Flip out in the flat, Warren Murray, jump cut, put in the ground by Brandon Ewing. Here is the rest of the defense for London. Jeff Gagne, Sirach Black, and Telemac Scarborough, the linebackers. Tanner Hendricks, Brandon Ewing, who just made that tackle, and Emmanuel Blackman are the corners. Marquise Reed and Barry Barkley are the safeties. Third down and 6, King under center. 3-step drop back to pass, and it's intercepted. Jumping the route is Brandon Ewing, and he makes back-to-back huge plays. The 3-season veteran has his 7th pick of the season.
And that is not something we see a lot of from London. They're not really known for their takeaways, but their pass defense is their biggest facet on defense. That is one of their biggest strengths, is those dangerous corners, and they will get that ball if you give them the chance, and that is a rare mistake. You talked about it earlier. He does throw quite a few interceptions as a quarterback, and that is just another one to his belt.
Interception number 32 on the season for E.T. King, and number 25 for the London Knights defense. Hanks McLean back on the field and dropping dimes in between 3 defenders down to the 6-yard line. What a catch in space by Vin Kalia.
What a beautiful throw as well. I mean, I have no idea how McLean was able to thread this needle between 3 defenders and the outstretched arm of Ethan Kai. They get a huge reception, and now they're already knocking on the door 1 play into this drive.
A little bit of deja vu. Less than a minute and a half later, London back in the red zone. On his back foot is Angus McLean, and it's down to the goal line as barely not getting in is Dustin Zeck on his first reception of the ball game.
Yeah, Rauger Law definitely saving a touchdown there. Thought that the player was going to be able to turn the corner and reach for the pylon, but Law gets in the way. That could be a huge stop here, but this 2nd and goal is going to be very important for Houston.
Handoff up the middle. Merrill stood up. He did not get there. Huge tackle by Kybron Womack, and it's 3rd and goal.
Yeah, it looked like Merrill tried to spin his way into the end zone, but right when he spins, he gets stood up and pushed back, and he gets stopped at the line. London yet again facing a 3rd and goal here. Will they be able to convert?
Merrill pushing for the pylon, and this time he's got it. Touchdown, London. Robert Merrill showing off a bit of the leg strength as he fell forward for about 2 yards. And it's a 2-score lead for the Knights here in the first quarter.
Yeah, and the trust from head coach and offensive coordinator Dustin Zeck there. He sees Merrill go out there, get stopped on 2nd down right at the goal line, but he says, you know what, we're going to go right back to him. I got trust in my guy. I know what he's capable of, and rightfully so. He's able to find the end zone, and now London here taking a 10-0 lead pending the extra point.
If London wins, both of these teams would finish at 5-7. Houston would go to 6 wins with a victory. And this is not the last time that Houston has entered the final game of the season with a chance to do some damage. A couple of seasons ago, Houston, I remember, this is off the top of my head, I think they won their last 4 games to back into the playoffs at 5-7 and beat the Storm. At that time, they were the Alaska Storm in the final week of the season to get in. And then they won their first round playoff game and got to the quarterfinals. So it was an insane season.
I mean, and here's to hoping for a similar finish for Houston, right? I mean, coming in with a, maybe a lackluster back half for their standards on those last 3 games, dropping all of them to some tough teams. And now they're going to have to come back out here, take another win. They've got to come back in this game already and, take it to the playoffs.
Losses to Fort Worth, DC and Mexico City in their last 3 outings. It's been a tough back half of the schedule for Houston, but a win tonight would make all of that pain go away as they would punch their ticket to the playoffs. A long way back, though. They're down 10-0, and Warren Murray, not the start that he was hoping for as he's tackled by Barry Barkley.
Yeah, definitely not. Coming out of that first drive, getting the interception was pretty devastating for their offense, but they just got to come back out here, have a short memory, and, you know, just take it to them again.
I think E.T. King needs to unload the can a little bit, not be too disappointed from that opening interception, and he will go down the field this time, and it's picked off again! Barry Barkley, interception number 5 on the year.
And I think you cursed him a little bit there, Mike. You said he needs to unload one, just let loose, and he does, and he throws into triple coverage, and London picks off E.T. King yet again, and this is just gone from bad to worse here from Houston, starting out with an opening drive interception, now a second interception, and London threatening again to get some points on the board.
Houston has run 5 offensive plays, and they've thrown 2 interceptions. Angus McLean back on the field and still dealing dimes. This one to the sideline to Dustin Zeck, first down to the Houston 37.
And London, right out of the gate, has come out firing on all cylinders, really. The defense, the secondary, really stepped up both drives, getting 2 interceptions and providing their offense with a really short field. And Angus McLean and company able to get it done. You know, on the first drive, they're able to drive down almost the entire length of the field, run a ton of clock off the clock. And then they get a short drive again, and now yet another short drive. We'll see if they convert this one into points as well.
5 wide again, and over the middle, and tipped, and a penalty, and the ball is still in the air, and it eventually falls all the way back at the 10-yard line. I'm not sure what that flag is, as a bunch of jerseys came together in the middle of the field. I have a sinking suspicion it might be pass interference, and it is. It's against Alex Perez, of all people, the inside linebacker, so that extends the London drive.
Yeah, and that's really a killer for Houston. I mean, they've already had enough mistakes leading up to this. They can't be committing these penalties, and, you know, you're giving London even more chances to take an even bigger lead, and this is just not what you want for Houston.
Again, McLean alone to the backfield. This time pressure coming, gets the ball away, and it's a back shoulder throw to Vin Kalia, 2nd and 5 at the Houston 23.
And they're moving up the ball really well here, relying pretty much solely on the pass. The last drive, they kind of did the same, where driving up to the goal line, they relied on the pass. Once they got there, they went with the rush. I think they're going with a similar concept here, sticking with the game plan of sticking through the air and sticking with Angus McLean.
Robert Merrill continues to chill on the sidelines as Angus McLean now has 2 receivers each side, takes a 7-step drop, unloads toward the end zone. Oh, what a catch in double coverage. Touchdown, London. Benji Matson getting it done. It's a 3-score lead for London in the first quarter.
And the high point ball to the 6'6" man works every single time for them, especially in double coverage. I mean, they've only tried it once, so it has a 100% success rate. And that was just a beautiful throw and catch. I mean, Angus McLean with an absolute dart gets it between the defenders. Benji goes up and gets it. London is coming out firing on offense. They have looked so good through the air. Angus McLean is not missing his throws, and this is a dangerous London offense right now.
Jack Lewis puts the extra point up and good. It's close to embarrassment territory already. 17-0. A minute 37 left in the first quarter. Remember, if you joined us late, Houston has run 5 offensive plays, and they've thrown the ball away twice. This will be a key possession for Houston. as the ball is returned up to the 25-yard line.
Yeah, and you said, I think this is going to be a really big drive for Houston. I mean, E.T. King has to come out here, and he can't throw another interception. That'll just shoot them in the foot and make this game even worse than it was before. I might change it up here. Maybe go to the run game, see if you can get some yards on the ground and exploit London that way.
E.T. King moves on the run, throws complete, and scampering for a first down is DR Sim. And that's the second completed pass of the game for E.T. King. First down for Houston. If you're new to the SFL, the Simulation Football League combines traditional sports, esports, and a role-playing game into one. Team strategies are being executed in real time by our simulations as real-life players compete on the virtual gridiron. Warren Murray goes nowhere, stood up by William Davidson. For more information about the SFL, visit our website at www.simulationfl.net. The SFL, we put the fan in fantasy. Offset I, 2nd and 10. Hand off Warren Murray. This time he slips through, and a spin move and a first down out to the Houston 47. Warren Murray really needs to heat up. He is a weapon, even though Houston doesn't go to him often. 683 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground coming into the game.
Yeah, not one of the most used running backs in the league, but that was a really great run there. London coming in with a stack box against Houston. Houston had 8 offensive linemen on the line there, and he's able to weave his way through traffic and get a first down, even against a stack box.
Now they'll run 3 receivers all the way out to the right-hand side. E.T. King steps up in the pocket, lobs it to a diving DR Sim, who makes the catch and slides on his backside for a first down as the first quarter comes to an end. Houston driving, but quarter number 1 was all London. It's 9-17, Hyenas nothing. This is the Simulation FL on YouTube. Michael Trillo, Ryan Caudell here. Final game of the regular season and a makeup game for a Week 10 unfinished matchup. There's Stephen Walker with an 8-yard pickup to the left-hand side.
And I think E.T. King's looking a lot better on this drive. These throws that he's making are not nearly as dangerous as the ones that he was throwing earlier, the one that were interceptions. There were coverage and everything, but this time he's finding his open men and not throwing interceptions.
2nd down and 2. King flips it middle. That was a little bit of a risky throw there, but it finds the receiver to Kyle Fittimore. That's his first catch of the day. A little bit of up-tempo now for Houston. King rolls right, finds Murray out of the backfield. Murray double spin move, 3 spins, and he only gains 1 yard, and the up-tempo will keep going.
Yeah, it looks like they want to conserve as much clock as possible going with this hurry-up.
King flips it, this time out of the reach of DR Sim, who dived for it. They still like the up-tempo here on 3rd and 9 from the 22. King, middle, knocked down. And it's 4th down. Jeff Gagne with the big pause, and it's going to be a field goal attempt for Max Expresso.
Yeah, it looked like they liked the formation that they got, but I think on that 3rd and 9, I think following the incompletion, that was the time they should have reset and, try to plan a little bit more for this 3rd down. Instead, they go with the hurry up. It doesn't work out, but Houston's still going to finish this drive with points on the board, and that is key for them, making this game a 2-score game rather than a 3-score game. Makes it look a lot better and makes it a lot easier to come back in.
38-yard attempt for Max Expresso, and it is good, and Houston, is on the board. It's 17-3. So now London will get the ball deep in their own territory for the first time since the opening kickoff. And on that opening drive, they took the ball, 10 plays, 54 yards, covered 5.5 minutes. maybe something similar in the locker for London here at the beginning of the second. From the 20 out to the 28.
And I think you're right. I think this drive coming up for London, I think we're going to see a lot of the same elements that we saw on the first drive. I think we're going to see a lot of runs. They're going to really be trying to, play a little bit of small ball, just, go about 5-6 yards every down and, slowly move the chains. You want to run as much clock out as possible. You kind of want to just starve Houston out of the second half here.
And off middle. Big hole for Robert Merrill, and he picks up 8 immediately. Defensive line nowhere to be seen on that play.
Yeah, and that was some beautiful blocking from the offensive line. They just create a diversion and open up the middle of that line. There were no defenders in the area to stop him, and that was a beautiful run.
I think in this position, you said it, expect to see a lot of Robert Merrill on the ground, maybe more so than usual for London. We'll see him again here on second down, and he's driven backwards and dropped. Only a gain of 1. Kai Cash applied the hit.
Yeah, and this is a big third down for Houston. London obviously wanting to run as much clock out as possible, but if Houston can get a stop, not let London score, get the ball back with some decent field position, that'd be good for them.
Oh, that was almost intercepted. It was in and out of the hands of Rauger Law. It was intended for Vin Kalia, and Houston will get a 3 and out. That's a huge stand for the Hyenas defense.
Yeah, and Houston, hopefully, maybe this is where it turns around for them. Looking at the, previous drive getting 3 points, now getting a stop on defense. Pending the return, they could get some really good field position out of this as well.
From the 25, punt away from JT Delaney. That's a bombing punt, and it's fielded inside the 20. Nice return for Kai Cash. He takes it just shy of the 30. So it ended up being an exact flip of the field from the London 28 to the Houston 28. The SFL's third season of minor league action starts Friday when the Lexington Miners host the Birmingham Fuel at 7 Eastern, followed by the defending champion Albuquerque Adams visiting the San Jose Flight at 9. Other action includes Salt Lake and Madison at 7:20 and Memphis against Tacoma at 9:20. You can watch all the action right here on the SFL's YouTube channel. To the far side, pass caught. King to Finnemore. Check that Leroy Brown was on the catch.
And that was a good throw.
Want to get on the field? It's never too late. Visit simulationfl.net to join our Discord community, create a player, and start building your career today. Sorry, Ryan. Second out and 6. Trips left, single right. King under center takes a 5-step drop. Over the middle in between 2 defenders. And soft hands on the catch for Randy Pierce. First down, Houston.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be the game plan for them. Pretty much all game is going to be sticking with E.T. King and this passing offense. It's been, the reason that this team has found success in the past. They're number 4 in the league in passing yards per game, number 6 in total yards of offense. So just stick with the game plan.
King, a lob, and it's intercepted. He underthrew the receiver. Running it back the other way is Marquise Reed. Interception on the season, number 3 for the veteran Reed, his 8th season, formerly of St. Louis.
Third interception of the season for Reed and third interception of the game for the London Knights and E.T. King. And this is not going to win you a playoff game. This is not going to get you into the playoffs if you keep throwing interceptions and making mistakes. That's just going to give London the game. And Houston, they've got to, fight these demons and not let these interceptions get to them and make more mistakes because of it.
E.T. King lobbed that one up for fullback Cam Jackson and underthrew him by about 5 yards. The first pass from Angus McLean is batted down by Alex Perez, and it's second down.
Yeah, good play on defense there by Perez, working in coverage, getting the deflection. And you know, Houston's defense, this is their time to step it up. They had some struggles earlier, but last drive getting that 3 and out, and you know, this is where they really want to try to build that momentum on defense.
McLean, plenty of time in the pocket, lofts it, one-on-one coverage, knocked away from Kalia, who once again was the intended receiver against Ralger Law. That's going to be an interesting matchup to watch as this game goes on, as Law has already denied Kalia a couple of big passing plays down that left sideline.
Yeah, and he's a dangerous corner too. Number 2 on the team in interceptions with 9 this season. And yeah, that Law and Kalia matchup is going to be one to watch all game long.
McLean under center. Back to pass, pressure coming, and he fires it, and diving for the grab inside the 20. That time, Kalia got the better of Law, and it's into the red zone once again for the London Knights.
Yeah, McLean must love this matchup, and it's working really well for him so far in this game. Law getting the deflection on the last play, but this time, Kalia got the better of him, beat him on the inside slant, and then it was just a foot race to get to the ball. Kalia got there first.
From the 20-yard line, McLean to the sideline, diving grab. It's Kalia again. That's 3 straight targets, and he's 2 out of 3.
That's pretty solid completion percentage. Not gonna lie, I think that's something they're gonna be looking at all game long. Kalia is the #1 receiver in London for a reason. He's got great hands, great receiver, and he's able to beat his men.
Kalia 4 of 8 so far in the receiving category. McLean 4 to work with, 3 bunched to his right. The offensive line does a fantastic job of giving him some coverage, and that's Corey Tuff, the fullback. Says, hey, fullback can cast passes, and it's 1st and goal at the 4.
Yeah, and that was a clutch pass to catch there for the fullback, getting called on. Usually, you know, a lot of teams want to go to their skill position, their star players in these high-pressure situations, but nah, London goes with the fullback, they get the 1st down.
Looking for the goal line, not there. Nice tackle by A.J. Barnes to save the touchdown on Dustin Zeck. And we have been in this situation before, London. This is their 3rd time down inside the 5. The first time they had to settle for a field goal. 2nd time they punched it in. And let's see what happens their 3rd time into the infrared zone. It's a handoff to Merrill, and he barrels in for the London score. It is 23-3.
And this is just an explosion of offense from London here today. Coming into this game, they weren't exactly one of the best ranked offenses in the league. Their rushing offense is one of the lowest categories in the league right now. But now coming against Houston in this last game of the season, they want to prove that they still have some fight in them. They want to fight behind Angus McLean and give him a victory to end his playing career on.
Extra point is up and good. It is 24-3 with 5.5 minutes to go in the 2nd quarter. The most points London have scored this season was 42 when they beat the Arizona Scorpions 42-31 back in week 3. And they are on pace for just about that many. Kick all the way. High cash returns for Houston up to around the 25, giving them the 26-yard line. And if you're on the Houston sidelines, Ryan, are you pressing that panic button yet?
They might be, and this is where the coach has to come in and calm everyone down, say, hey, we're not out of it yet. We know what we're capable of. E.T. King and company, Houston, this offense is very powerful. They have the ability to go down the field and score on you just like that. So let's see if they can do it here.
Look out, E.T. King can't spin away from the sack. Sirach Black, oh no, excuse me, that's William Davidson, the 7th-year player out of St. Louis. It's his 6th season here in London, and he picks up his 13th sack of the season. That leads the team.
He's an absolute monster. First sack of the game, and now this is a big 2nd and 18 for Houston.
King, pump fakes, goes to the far sideline for Leroy Brown, and he got most of it back. 3rd down and 4 coming up from the 32.
Yeah, impressive play there from Houston. A lot of teams, when they go down, 2nd and 18, they might go for a bigger play or maybe even, a conservative check down. But here they go for that big chunk play, as they should. They get the yardage that they need. They make this 3rd down a whole lot easier. 3rd and 4 and 3rd and 18 are starkly different downs. So good job by Houston to get back in it.
London has not beaten Houston since season 13. That's back in 2019. E.T. King, this time he throws it in between 2 defenders, and it's hauled in by the veteran DR Sim. 1st down, Houston.
And these tight throws from E.T. King, he's getting away with some of them. The other ones are going for interceptions. He knows he has to be careful, but when it's working and getting 1st downs.
A handoff to the left-hand side. Warren Murray spins away, and look out! He's got that speed, and nobody's gonna catch him. Touchdown, Houston, and this game is not over by a long shot. The Hyenas are howling, and it's 24-10.
And I'm howling at that spin move. Warren Murray sent a man to the grave with that one, shattering his ankles, finding that lane, and it was a beautiful spin move. It really made the entire run. He thought he had a lane to the outside at the very beginning. He sees the defender, makes the spin move, cuts inside, finds the hole, and it's nothing but green in front of him. A beautiful run, goes for 56 yards. Biggest play of the game by far, and it puts Houston just a little bit closer to London.
And maybe some momentum here before the half. I say before the half, there's still 4 minutes to go in the 1st half. It seems like the pace of play has ground to a halt here. But now it's down to a 2-score game, 24-10.
It's only the 2nd quarter. I thought we were in the 4th already. This game has not gone by at all, but it feels like we've had a ton of action in these last, 15 minutes.
Final game of the regular season has delivered so far on YouTube tonight. We thank everybody for joining us this evening, as they have been doing all season long on YouTube, Twitch, and of course on television on Next Level Sports and for the fans. So let's talk about the playoffs, because that's the word on everybody's mind right now. Saturday, we've got 2 wild card games that have already been determined. It's Las Vegas and St. Louis, and Jacksonville at Lone Star. Here's McClain handing it off to Merrill, nowhere to go. Nice tackle by Kyron Womack. And then on Sunday, Arizona or Los Angeles. That's if London hangs on. It will be Arizona. No, it will be Los Angeles against Fort Worth if this result holds. And then Arizona against Mexico City. Or if Houston comes back, it will be Arizona against Fort Worth and Houston against Mexico City. That's your wild card weekend, and it comes up in just a couple of days.
Yeah, and those should be some great games too. These playoffs have been ramping up. I've been excited for these, and it's good to see some teams that maybe had success like St. Louis before but not able to recently. And Las Vegas, they haven't been in the playoffs for a while, so we've got some new faces.
1st and 10, handoff Merrill. And he won't get far, gain of 4. Another tackle by Alex Perez. The matchup I've got my eye on at the moment is Las Vegas against St. Louis. Because with the season St. Louis has had, I would watch them as they are probably a dark horse to go deep in the playoffs. Here's McLean out to Merrill. He's got a blocker in front of him, but he overran him. And it's 3rd down and 3 right at the midfield stripe.
You know, and I think you're right. I think Las Vegas, St. Louis is going to be a great game. St. Louis, they had such a hot start to the season. They were looking like, you know, right out of the gate, looking like one of the #1 teams. And then they falter a little bit later, but still secure a playoff spot. And they still are a dangerous team. They still had that dominance before. They can carry that into the playoffs.
McLean into the hands of Zach, get a 1st down on 3rd down. Out across midfield to the 43 of Houston. As we hit the first half, 2-minute warning. London's got a big lead. Houston trying to stay in touching distance. This is the Simulation Football League on YouTube. Angus McLean sets up under center, 1st and 10, 2 minutes to go first half. In what has been a thrilling contest so far. McLean with a 7-step drop, throws to the open receiver, and that happens to be Vin Kalia, picks up a 1st down at the Houston 32.
Yeah, open might be a bit of a stretch considering there were 3 defenders there, but when you have Angus McLean throwing you the ball, you can always be an open receiver. He will find that window, find the opening, and he gets the 1st down there.
He may not have been open to start, but I think it was an excellent throw from McLean to throw him open as Merrill now has a burst of speed. He's breaking tackles inside the 20 and all the way down to the 17-yard line.
Yeah, taking down some Hyenas and a referee with him as he charged through there. A poor referee was stuck in the middle of it. He got a shoulder to the chest, and London got a 1st down.
Into the red zone once again. Robert Merrill can't get away from the hard charging defensive back, Terry Nylams, and it is 2nd and 8.
And this is the 4th time now London's coming down to the red zone here. 2 times they were able to get a touchdown. Another time they were able to get a field goal. Houston needs to be able to stop them.
Underneath to the 11. Timeout London as they try to conserve some clock to try and just put some more points on the board before the end of the half.
Yeah, and I think they want to, you know, take their time on this 3rd down. This could be key here. It could be the difference between a touchdown and a field goal. Take their time, and, you know, you don't want any clock running out while you're making that decision. And this is going to be a big down here.
Third and 3. McLean, plenty of time. Now the pressure comes. He goes to Merrill as a safety valve. And Robert Merrill bails him out and picks up a 1st down inside the 5, and London calls their 2nd timeout.
Yeah, and the 1st timeout shows why they do that. They regroup. Merrill gets the 1st down on the dump off, and then they still have this fresh set of downs and 30 seconds to go as well. So they can, you know, do whatever they want here. They can stick to the ground. They can go to the air. They have, you know, a wide open playbook.
1st and goal from the 5 to the corner of the end zone. Vin Kalia showing off the body control and the contortion as he spins it for a touchdown.
That was a beautiful play. Angus McLean finding his man, and he really did throw Vin Kalia open there. Kalia able to, you know, go up for it and then turn his hips inside the pylon, getting the touchdown. The matchup of Kalia versus Rauger Law has been a hot one, but Kalia has definitely gotten the better of him so far. 6 receptions on 10 targets, 73 yards, and a touchdown to his name.
it's back to a 20, pending the extra point from Jack Lewis. It's up and good now. A 21-point lead. Just when you thought Houston may have had a bit of life, London with a soul-sucking drive right at the end of the half.
Yeah, they took a good amount of time off the clock as well. Houston, they may have enough time here to go down and at least get a field goal or maybe even a touchdown for their troubles. They do have all 3 timeouts, so I'd like to see Houston try to get down the field, get some points before this halftime.
Cash deep to receive the kick. He takes it from inside the 10, looking for an opening, won't find one as Mark Wilson, the tight end, playing special teams with an excellent wrap-up. And Houston will start from their own 25 with 21 seconds and 3 timeouts.
You know, and another thing I forgot to mention is Houston's getting this second half kickoff as well. So if they can go out here on this drive, get a touchdown, get some points on the board, they're going to get the ball back and they can potentially cut this lead in more than half and get a bigger chunk of it back.
Well, that's not the start you want as Warren Murray is eaten alive in the backfield for a loss of 1.
Yeah, no timeout here probably means Houston's content with just letting the time run out. Whenever your opening play goes like that, that is a drive killer for sure.
Murray, 1 more carry. We will go to the half. Houston with a mountain to climb if they want to make the playoffs. Right now, Los Angeles is sitting pretty because London is up by 21 over the Houston Hyenas in Angus McLean's final game of his SFL career. As we go to the halftime interval, we send it to Ryan Caudill.
And, you know, this half, I haven't said it enough, and it's just been all London all game long. Angus McLean making a huge statement in his final game as a player in the regular season, going off so far, over 200 yards already in the first half, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And Robert Merrill on the other side on the run game is getting it done as well. 13 attempts for about 50 yards so far and 2 touchdowns to his name as well. London's offense has really found a rhythm here, unlike we've seen in this season. They've, you know, had some games. They had a game against Arizona where they put up over 40 points, but other than that, London not really able to put up the points on the board like they want to. They had another game where they got just over 30 points, but this is the second highest score that they've had all season, and we're just at halftime. So there's definitely going to be more to come out of this London offense, and you know, that's really good for them coming into next season. They could use this to, you know, sort of work into an identity and trying to, you know, build their team around this, build this offense around it. They're going to have to find a new quarterback, and it's going to be hard to find someone who can replace Angus McLean and make these baller throws that he does. But, you know, it's something that they're going to have to do this offseason, and something that I think that London is going to be able to do. And on the other side of the ball, you have Houston, who has really not been performing like they want. E.T. King has had way too many mistakes throwing the ball. 4 interceptions on the day is just abysmal from the quarterback position. And so he's got to clean that up here in the second half. Got to be able to, you know, come back and be able to lead his team down the field, cut into this deficit. You got to lead your team into playoffs. This is your last chance. You're not getting another reset on this game. So it's do or die time for them, really.
Yeah, and on your point about Angus McLean, there have been some rumors that Johnny Pickler could be taking over the signal caller duties in London next season, but obviously nothing is confirmed until we get to the offseason and get to that re-signing period. They could be looking at someone in the draft. The minor league season starts up this week, so, you know, hey, there are now 3 open quarterback spots in the league for those minor league players that want to impress during that season. But bringing it back to focus to this game, it is not outside the realm of possibility for Houston to come back. They scored 35 points just a couple of days ago when I lost to Mexico City 41-35. They also scored 38 in a demolition of the Denver Nightwings back in Week 6 and 34 in a victory over Las Vegas in Week 4. So they have the offensive firepower to get back into this one, but they do have to not turn the ball over because E.T. King with those 3 interceptions, you change those 3 interceptions to touchdowns, and we got a tie game. Second half underway. Houston with the football, Cash from the goal line, and he'll bring it out to the 24.
Yeah, and another thing that Houston, they have to look out for that I might seemingly be forgetting is the London offense. Not only do they have to come back out here and get 21 points on the board, they also have to be able to hold London's offense, something they haven't been able to do all game. Granted, London has had some short field positions on some of these, but still, they're going to have to stop this offense, and the second half is going to be a testament to whether they can or not.
Warren Murray gets a face full of defender. That is Sirach Black, the rookie linebacker out of Albuquerque. He'll be watching his former team play in a couple of days. Tackle for loss number 11 on the season for Black, who's had a very impressive rookie campaign. On 2nd and 11, King to throw, tipped up in the air and incomplete. Intended for DR Sim.
You know, and I think some of the issue with E.T. King's throws is he's not leading his receivers enough. They're just a little bit underthrown or a little bit too low. And, you know, London is able to get up, get their hands on the ball, force a deflection, or even worse, force a turnover. E.T. King just needs to put a little bit more juice on the ball, and he's going to find his receivers.
Only 67% completion today for E.T. King in the first half. This time a dart to DR Sim for a first down as he takes the ball away from Marquise Reed, who was looking to sit back there and get his second pick of the game.
And when in doubt, go to DR Sim, the security blanket for E.T. King. These guys have been working off each other all season long. And E.T. King, he's proven to be a formidable starter in this Houston offense. And, you know, I think he could be the key to what this team was missing in finding the playoffs.
8 seasons in Chicago, now this first one in Houston on offsides play as Murray barrels forward for about 5. This will be interesting. I think they might accept this penalty and go for a 1st and 5.
Yeah, I think even if he gets 6 yards on that, I think you still take it because you're going to have a 1st and 5 rather than a 2nd and 4. And I think you want that every time.
And they will indeed accept the penalty. Tough one on Chad Rowland, the 3rd season player, spent all of it right here in London. Before today's game, he had 22 tackles, 5 sacks. And funnily enough, 2 passes defended as a defensive tackle.
Impressive.
Here's Warren Murray on a counter run, and he falls forward for a first down, showing them power in those legs as Houston moves the chains up near midfield.
Yeah, showing some fight in him too, and that looked like, you know, a less experienced running back might have gone down there, but Warren Murray puts his shoulder down, drives forward, drives through to the defender, and gets the first down.
King, flanked by Murray and Jackson. King, hit as he throws, he lobs it up there, and DR Sim comes down with it. Talk about a safety blanket. He gets all the way to the red zone.
Yeah, and a beautiful throw by E.T. King as he's getting hit. It was a little wobbly, but it remained a perfect spiral as it fell into DR Sim's hands right in the breadbasket. And I don't know how a play goes on that long and DR Sim is still that open. He makes the man miss and gets the completion.
Murray, going backwards. There was some venom on that hit by Dean Sammy. But going back to the previous play, you got veteran quarterback, veteran receiver, perfect combination for a big play down the sideline.
Yeah, and I think that's their path back into this game. That has been working really well for this offense so far, and I think they need to connect more with that.
2nd and 13 after the loss of 3. E.T. King once again under pressure completes it underneath, and it'll be 3rd down and 5. This time Kyle Finnemore makes the catch. Only his 2nd reception of the game for Finnemore.
And the only one we haven't seen so far is Greg Corky. Just no receptions, no targets at all. We'll see if that changes at some point.
Over the middle, towards the end zone, and incomplete. He was looking for Randy Pierce, the tight end, who was a wide open to the back of the end zone, but the ball couldn't get through the web of hands in front of him, and it'll force the Houston Hyenas to once again settle for 3 in the red zone.
And this is a hard 3 points to take for Houston. The deficit right now is 21 points, so 3 points isn't going to make much of a difference. It's still going to be a 3-point game. But, you know, any points are good points at this point for Houston, and, you know, it's good for them to just get a drive down the field and get some points on the board any way they can.
Yeah, the clock is the enemy for Houston, but also I think you mentioned coming into the half, the London offense is the main enemy. They're going to have to hold them to basically nothing in this second half to get back into this game. And it starts, excuse me, on this next drive.
Yeah, holding them to nothing would certainly help. I mean, another touchdown for London, you know, even, you know, another 10 points in this half, that could be killer for Houston. That might just be too tough to come back from. So their defense definitely needs to step up on these drives and hold London to nothing.
Well, they've only had 1 empty possession, and that was a 3-and-out midway through the second quarter. London will take command of the 32-yard line. London's drives in the first half, 13 plays, 63 yards, and a field goal. Then the interception, 4 plays, 28 yards, and a touchdown. 4 plays, 41 yards, and a touchdown after another interception. Then a punt. Then a 2-yard touchdown run after 7 plays, 44 yards, as Robert Merrill tries to spin away, but only gets 2. And then a 5-yard passing touchdown, or a 11-play, 72-yard drive ending with a 5-yard passing touchdown. So it's just been a hot knife through butter situation for the London offense so far. McLean, plenty of time to throw. Finds the receiver, Dustin Zeck, on the corner. And it's first down for the Knights.
And London still able to find these completions. This passing game is looking really, really good today. Angus McLean making a statement on his last game as a player. And Houston, they have to be prepared for this. You know the pass is going to be coming quite frequently out of this London offense, so they have to be prepared. And, you know, Houston, if they can get a takeaway at any point, that'd be really big for them in getting back in this game.
A handoff to Merrill, bounces off a tackler and gets tackled after a gain of 5 right at midfield. And something I've noticed throughout the ball game is the amount of time that Angus McLean has in the pocket comparative to E.T. King. King is basically under pressure every time he drops back to throw. We saw that one amazing completion to DR Sim that set up the last field goal, but he was scrambling to his right with a couple of black jerseys chasing him down. Here's second down of 5, 7-step drop. McLean, this time he's under pressure, and the pass towards the fullback Corey Tuff goes incomplete, 3rd and 5. But that play right there has more have been the exception than the rule when it comes to the amount of time McLean has had in the pocket.
Yeah, and even then, he still had a big drop, which gave him a ton of time. The drop alone gives his receivers about an extra second so they can make that first move and get open. That buys a lot of time for him.
3rd and 5, Houston really needs this stop. McLean pump fakes, now goes deep, and it's picked off. Houston gets the stop they need on defense, and Ethan Kai has his 5th interception of the season.
The other safety, AJ Barnes, had his interception earlier. Now Ethan Kai getting one. Both safeties have one to their name today, and that was exactly what Houston needed. Just like I said a couple plays ago, if they could get an interception, that's huge for them. The field position isn't great, but they got to work with what they get. They still have a whole field to go, but they have the ball, and London doesn't. That's what's important.
Underneath for E.T. King. And really, that almost acts like a punt. Because
Yeah.
McLean just threw that to the moon and hoped somebody came down with it.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It just flipped the field really for Houston. It was a punt. That's exactly what that was. The arm punt.
Thank you, Ramos Lynn, in the chat for giving us that one. DR Sim turns upfield, gets a first down up to the 40.
There you go. Find the man, DR Sim. He's just hit 100 yards on the game with that completion. So big game already from DR Sim. And we're going to need to see a lot more of him if Houston wants to come back.
King under center. He'll rifle it over the middle, and wide open is Kyle Finnemore across midfield into London territory.
Yeah, and E.T. King really coming out of this drive looking a lot better, not making these risky throws. That one, Finnemore was wide open, made his job really easy, able to find the open receiver, get a huge first down, and that's a threatening gesture there. He might want to step back.
Yeah, that's Tanner Hendricks, who I don't think we've mentioned his name outside of the opening roster rundown. Warren Murray gets piled under by a mass of London Knights led by William Davidson. And it's second down and 10. Tanner Hendricks, 54 tackles, 5 for loss, 13 passes defended, and 8 interceptions on the season. Not a bad season by any standards, but he's mostly been either not thrown to or kept in check. Delayed handoff to Warren Murray, not going anywhere. Back to the line of scrimmage and no more.
You know,
Sammy with the big tackle.
And maybe it's a good thing. If you're a corner, you don't really want your name to get called a lot, right? You don't want to be called out for maybe busting a coverage. So they haven't been throwing to him. Maybe his receivers haven't been open, and maybe he's having a fantastic game at corner.
3rd and 10, King lobbing it up again, and it's picked again. Number 4 for London. He was trying to hit Finnemore on the go route, and Marquise Reed has interception number 2 on the day and number 4 on the year.
Yeah, and just another interception for E.T. King, and that is another drive killer. They got the interception themselves. They got the famous arm punt. They were able to go down the field, but they just arm punt it back to London, giving them the same kind of field position they had and not getting any points off of the interception.
For the second time in this ball game, that was a criminal underthrow by E.T. King, who had Finnemore open if he puts that ball back shoulder, and potentially that's a touchdown because Finnemore had about 3 steps on the corner. Instead, he just lobs it about 10 yards short, and Ethan Kai says, "I'll take that."
Yeah, and it's impossible for Finnemore to play that.
Marquise Reed says, "I'll take that."
Yeah, it's impossible for Finnemore to play that, really. When you are underthrown, your momentum's carrying forward. It's so hard to come back and try to play defense on that ball.
McLean rifles it underneath, first down London, as this third quarter has only 3 minutes left in it. The SFL broadcast team is looking to add new talent to our ranks of broadcasters. Applications are being accepted now to try out for either play-by-play or analyst broadcasting positions. No prior experience is required, just a love for the game and a desire to succeed. The application can be found on our website at simulationfl.net/broadcasting. 1st and 10, McLean alone in the backfield, off balance. The catch is made by Mark Wilson, and he falls forward for a first down. Everybody getting involved for London tonight. Even the guys coming off the bench are making big plays.
Yeah, when your team's eating, everybody's eating, and they're finding a receiver. And, I mean, that's what London's going to be good at this whole game. I mean, Angus McLean, he's been finding Vin Kalia, finding his other receivers, but he has other weapons in the pocketbook. When you have someone like Angus McLean, anybody that can catch a ball is a weapon.
Check on the last play. That was Tony Phillips that made that catch. Now a deep strike into coverage, first down, as sliding for the catch was Dustin Zeck.
And Zek and Kalia in this game have really teamed up to be a dangerous pair, and Houston just is not able to cover both of them. Both of them having 6 receptions and both of them over 60 yards. Vin Kalia has the touchdown to his name, so he has that a little bit better for him, but both of these guys having amazing games.
London not taking their foot off the gas pedal, even up 31-13. Robert Merrill still on his feet, running the wrong way. Look out. Oh, they're going to give him forward progress all the way back to the original line of scrimmage. That is a bailout by the referees for London.
Yeah, R62 doing wonders. Might want to check his PayPal after this game. And wow, Robert Merrill looked like he got too dizzy with the spin cycles and went back about 10 yards, but luckily for them, doesn't do any damage.
2nd down and 10. I think Angus McLean may hold this one. No, he's going to give it right back to Merrill. This time he goes forward, but only gets 2. 3rd down coming up.
Hey, but that's better, right? Not backwards, forwards. He's learning. That's we've seen a lot of downfield running from him, but that is good that he's not going backwards.
3rd down and 8 from just shy of the 30. And this time, McLean alone in the backfield, 4 receivers to aim at. As he goes over the middle and falling forward for a 1st down is Saren Storm. Haven't mentioned him since the 1st quarter, but he's back with a vengeance and picks up a fresh set of downs for London.
I haven't said his name because it's been the Vin Kalia, Dustin Zek show, but now getting involved, falling forward, getting that 1st down. London, though they're up 18 points in this game, they're going to try to put it away here, and I don't blame them. You want to go down, get a touchdown, make this lead just so comfortable for your team.
7 seconds to go in the 3rd. Will they snap it? They will. Merrill, with some space, runs right into a tackler, and that's the end of the 3rd quarter. 4's up in the chat. We head to the final frame, and it's all London calling here in the final game of Season 16's regular season. Michael Toretto, Ryan Caudill on the call for you here on a Wednesday night for SFL action. Kevin Irvine is pushing the buttons, and Tristan Hatley and Mighty RX are doing stats for us on this beautiful Wednesday. 2nd and 9 for London. First play of the 4th quarter. They got an 18-point lead, and almost throwing a pick is McLean, but it's in and out of the hands of Alex Perez.
Yeah, that could have been the rare linebacker pick 6 had he been able to come down with it. A little too much butter on the hands, but man, he had daylight in front of him, and McLean is lucky that he didn't come down with it.
It almost looked like McLean was trying to hit him with like a baseball throw. He ripped that one right at his face.
Yeah, him and Alex Perez have a grudge, so he just had to throw it at his face there.
3rd down and 9, 5 wide. McLean the belt high snap, plenty of time to throw, rips it. 1st down at the Houston 9. Vin Kalia is that man again.
Yeah, and I didn't know who was going to come up with that ball after that throw. Looked like there were about 5-6 different jerseys in the area. Kalia is the one with his hands outstretched. It just flew right past Saren Storm as well, but it gets the job done. London gets the 1st down. Now we have another 1st and goal. Will Houston be able to stop them this time?
And off middle. Robert Merrill already has a rushing touchdown tonight. He'd love another one.
Wouldn't we all?
Yeah, I suppose so.
I've never gotten a rushing touchdown in the SFL, but the moment they add the guard run, it's over for the other teams.
I mean, I've never got a rushing touchdown either, but I'm a defensive back, so I guess I can't talk. There's a pass that's tipped and incomplete. It was headed for the goal line, and Kai Cash knocked it away.
Yeah, now, I mean, if London gets a field goal, that will erase the previous field goal that Houston got. The touchdown here puts it at a 25-point lead. So they definitely want to come away with the touchdown. I see them going for the end zone on this one.
They're down and goal. Just under 10 minutes to play in the ball game. London with a comfortable lead. McLean moves in the pocket, hit as he throws, and it's caught in traffic for another London touchdown. Vin Kalia, this time in traffic, he makes the grab.
It looked like almost the exact same throw that got them the first and goal with the triple slants in that coverage. It is so hard to cover on defense. And London yet again finding the end zone in the red zone. And yet again they are adding to their lead.
Jack Lewis, good again, 38-13 the score. London with an exclamation point on their season, and they may not be making the postseason, but I'm guessing that this is a statement to everybody in the league that the London Knights are coming for them in season 17 at the end of the summer.
Yeah, they may not have a postseason, but they're going to have one hell of an after party tonight.
I'm sure they are. They'll be partying all night in London. Well, I guess it already is well into the night in London. It's just after midnight. Greenwich Mean Time.
It already is party time in London. Maybe they've been partying for a couple hours and we're behind.
Houston back on offense, trying to make this one a little bit more respectable here in the fourth quarter. E.T. King's thrown 4 picks. He's hit as he throws. He gets that one completed across the middle to Randy Pierce, 2nd down and 4. Speaking of parties, if you don't know, the SFL convention is back in August, just south of Houston, Texas. So if you're interested in attending the league's 3rd convention, get at Cameron Irvine in the Discord channel and have him add you to the convention server, or convention, I don't know Discord terminology. I think I've been there in enough years, I know what it's called.
The convention place, you know,
yeah,
the
add you to
general...
the convention chat.
The convention party, maybe.
Yeah, well, we'll go with that. Convention party. I'm really looking forward to it. I really missed it last year for obvious reasons it didn't take place, but I'm really looking forward to getting back to hanging out with the rest of the SFL family in a couple of months. 3rd down at 7, 5 wide. Over the middle, it's DR Sim, and DR Sim's got the speed. Down the sideline, he goes inside the 30, and he's going to be brought down at the 22-yard line by Barry Barkley, who saves a touchdown.
And what an absolute monster. London playing bump there. He gets hit at the line just a little bit, but it doesn't deter him. He's still playing in double coverage at that point, but a beautiful throw there by E.T. King, and DR Sim finds the open space, and this is why he is such a dangerous receiver. That play going for 49 yards.
Just shy of the red zone now at the 22-yard line. A handoff to Warren Murray, looking to break free for his 2nd touchdown of the game, and he'll get to the 15 after a gain of 7.
Yeah, and that run was made possible by the offensive lineman, number 71 there, pushing Murray forward as he was getting hit, and he gets an extra 2-3 yards because of it.
That would be Larry Collins, the right tackle. E.T. King on 2nd and 3, walks right into a sack. Number 2 on the night for London. And it's Chris Joseph, the 3rd season, first with the team. Picks up his 3rd sack of the season, and it's 3rd and 11 all the way back to the 23.
Yeah, terrible sack. It you know, like you said, that's a big difference in the two quarterbacks' games. Is ET King's been having to duck, dip, dive, and dodge, all to try to throw a ball.
High snap for King, lobs it towards the end zone, deflected and incomplete. And it will once again be Max Espresso to try a field goal attempt. And it's, yes, we can talk about the London offense till the cows come home. They've done a fantastic job. But Houston, I mean, they got to be disappointed. They've been down here a couple of times. They've thrown 4 interceptions. They've kicked 2 field goals. Even with London scoring 38 points, it could be a much closer game than it is right now.
Yeah, and they had the interception earlier that was in the red zone. You know, gave London the ball at the 20. And, you know, a few times they've just gone down to the red zone, nearly been able to get into the end zone, but not just able to score. I mean, Warren Murray, he had his touchdown. That was a big 56-yard run. That wasn't a play from the red zone. They have not been able to convert from the red zone at all today, and that has just been killer.
But despite the disappointing ending, it will be a season to remember for DR Sim, because this season he became the first SFL wide receiver to hit over 100 touchdowns in his career. He currently has 103.
I mean, he hit a bunch of milestones too. First receiver to get over 14,000 yards on the season, and you know, even with some more, if he has another big play, a couple big plays, he could even reach over 15,000 on the season in this game alone. So, I mean, big game, amazing season for DR Sim.
And next season, we'll be on the lookout for him to be the first wide receiver to pass 1,000 receptions. He's only 12 away from doing that. So DR Sim continues to set the records. Nobody else close.
And I mean,
another first down for London.
Yeah, London's offense looking really good, and yeah, and that's why DR Sim isn't a valuable target in this league. Getting 7 receptions, over 150 yards on this game alone, and he's just a force to be reckoned with. None of these teams really have been able to stop him this season.
Handoff. Whoa, no. Look out, Angus McLean. He kept the football. Looks like they may have tried to run play action, but Zach Turner was having none of it. And it's 2nd down and 13.
Yeah, it could have been a play action or just a busted run from the beginning. Zach Turner just busted in before the handoff could even go through, and he was already on Angus McLean.
This time McLean down the middle, room to run for the receiver, Paul Hyder. That's his 2nd catch of the ball game. He gets close to a first down. It's 3rd and a half yard.
Yeah, hitting yet another receiver is Angus McLean. He's gone down the entire depth chart and back up it a couple times, and still able to find these completions and throw all over Houston.
High snap on 3rd and 1. Going for it. It's caught by Kalia. And he scampers all the way inside the 20 and down to the 17-yard line.
Angus McLean just keeps making these amazing baller throws. I mean, the trust in his receivers to go up and get that ball. That was a hard ball to catch. He's still able to come down with it, still able to get a huge gain on the play. And yet again, London is in the red zone.
Making the most of his last time in the spotlight. As a chance for London to pile it on a little bit more. A handoff up the middle to Merrill, goes for 3. Now, normally, I would say that, you know, you're up by this much with time running out and you're still throwing like that. You know, what are you doing? But This is special
Yeah,
circumstances.
this is honorable right here. This is you know, a hero's exit for Angus McLean.
And the London Knights are also going to be retiring his number, so nobody else for London will ever wear number 13.
Some would
Merrill
say
catch out of the
unlucky.
backfield.
Some would say an unlucky number, but Angus McLean had turned it into his lucky number, able to find a ton of completions and a premier quarterback in the SFL for a really long time. He's going to continue his great career as a coach.
Both with the San Francisco Sharks, and then after that organization folded, across the pond to the London Knights. Well, they're not going to get another touchdown as Robert Merrill couldn't get another first down inside the 10. I had the chance to meet Angus at the second convention in 2019 in Atlanta. And that was right after he had taken the reins in San Francisco. And he's just the kind of person that this league wants to keep a hold of, you know, be it on the field or in the front office. Class act all the way around, and he will be missed on game day. Jack Lewis for the exclamation point. It's up and good. And London has equaled their top scoring mark this season with 41.
I think they should have brought Angus McLean on to kick that field goal. What a special moment that would have been, huh?
They could have done that, but he might have missed it, and then that would have ruined the moment. So I think we're safe just letting the kicker kick the field goals.
I guess that's his job, whatever.
Houston on the field with 3:12 to go. And they'll start at their own 26. This being the last game of the season, Ryan, we've had so many fantastic games, offensive explosions, defensive slugfests. What are a couple of moments that stand out to you in Season 16's regular season?
One of my favorite games that I got to call was, I believe it was Denver playing San Diego, which doesn't sound like a great matchup, but Denver lost Jared McChesney early on, and San Diego put up the fight of their lives.
Look out, DR Sim! He's eaten. He's across the 50. And Houston is going up tempo. Play action down the field. It's Sim. Oh, he just had it taken off his fingertips at the very end by Eric Toney. Excuse me, that was Greg Corky who was on the receiving end of that. Haven't really seen him much tonight. That's his first target. So, excuse me, you were saying about your favorite moments of the season.
Oh, yeah. So I think they lost McChesney and they lost someone else. And San Diego put up the fight of their lives and nearly took down the 10-1, I think it was, or 9-1 Denver Nightwings. It was really one of the better games I've ever seen from a team that just wasn't really in the conversation of playoffs, but still putting up an amazing fight.
Here's play action again. King lofting it up. Here is Finnemore. Finnemore inside the 15, as I do believe a lot of the backups are in on the London defense. King, end zone, tipped, caught on the deflection. Kyle Finnemore, the focus to stay with it, and it's a touchdown for Houston.
Pulling out some magic tricks is Kyle Finnemore. That time, the bounce off the hands, the helmet back to the hands. Really, that was a 10-point play. I give him 10 points, 5 stars, 5 out of 5. Whatever rating I can give him, that was a beautiful circus catch.
And the Russian judge gives it a 7. So Houston crawls a little bit closer. It's going to be a little bit too late with only 2:23 to go in the ball game. Max Espresso on for the extra point. So moments that I will remember from this season, I think my favorite game was just a couple of weeks ago, the Portland and Los Angeles game, because Portland had just come off of a very tough loss, and their season was over, and they faced a Los Angeles team that still had a chance to win their division, And they came into Portland, and Portland put them away with an impressive performance. Onside kick, retrieved by London.
You know, and for Portland, that next week they took on Charleston and dominated, absolutely crushed them. So I think, you know, that comeback win, or that win rather, over LA really was maybe a turning point for that team where they could, you know, pick up their offense and pick up the pieces and work towards next season. I think that's what they've done. I think Portland looked really good. They have a lot of key facets on offense, and I think they're going to be a really good team this next season.
The Fleet ended on a 3-game winning streak. They go 5-7. And they were almost in the playoff conversation if a couple of those wins might have come earlier in the season. So I'm really pleased for Portland. Jacob Bouvette and company doing a great job up there. I think the other favorite moment that I had was all the way back in week 1 as we hit the 2-minute warning. London 41, Houston 23, the final minutes of the season 16 regular season are ticking away here on YouTube. I'll come back to that week 1 game in a moment because I think, just thinking back on it, my favorite game this season that I've called was Atlanta-Los Angeles, which was a couple of weeks before that Portland game. And on her birthday, Rochelle Colston had 4 interceptions.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I remember hearing about that. That is just absolutely nuts. Getting 4 interceptions in one game is hard enough, and then doing it on your birthday just makes that so special.
But then Atlanta came back a huge, I think it was a BDG Hollywood touchdown late in the 4th quarter. Los Angeles drove down the field, kicked a field goal to win it, and they won by 2 because they had gotten a safety early in the game, and I think early in the 2nd quarter.
Oh my goodness. The safety.
That was definitely my favorite game I called this year.
I think in the Portland-Denver game, there was also a safety to turn the ball over to give Portland a last-second shot at a field goal. They ended up not winning that game, but it was a safety that got them the ball back and got them back in the game. It's one of the most exciting plays in the SFL for sure.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of Los Angeles, we haven't talked about it since early on in the ball game, but since London defeats Houston, Houston finishes 5-7. They are out of the playoffs, and guess who takes their spot? It's Los Angeles. Even though they came up short in their division, they finished 6-6. They are the number 12 seed. And they will face, as I look up the schedule for this weekend, Los Angeles will face Fort Worth on Sunday on FTF. So congrats to my former teammates from Carolina who moved over to Los Angeles and are a part of that organization, as well as Tom Rahman.
Yeah, it's great for Los Angeles as well to come on in their first season as a team. You don't see a lot of teams come in their first season and, you know, put up good numbers, let alone go to the playoffs.
Oh, look out. It's pick number 5, and it was deflected into the hands of Brandon Ewing. Or, excuse me, that's Emmanuel Blackman, and that is his first career interception.
Hey.
How about that?
Thank you, E.T. King, making SFL dreams come true on the deflections. And, you know, like we said, if London's eating, everyone eats, and that applies to the cornerbacks as well. Everyone getting a pick to their name, except for Tanner Hendricks. But everyone else really doing well, showing up. Barry Barkley has an interception. Marquise Reed has 2 interceptions. Blackman has 1, and Ewing has another.
And Angus McLean just kneeling it out as Houston stops the clock for the final time.
And
So
another
apologies
thing.
to Emmanuel Blackman. Sorry, that was his second career interception. I forgot to note that on my statistics page for the game. But thank you to everybody in the chat who let me know that. But still, a great way to end a rookie season. Emmanuel Blackman, who was the 25th overall pick out of Ottawa.
You know, another thing here with London taking down Houston, we're also going to see Arizona take on Mexico City on Sunday in the playoffs as well. That should be a good one. Both Fort Worth and Mexico City playing in the playoffs on the same day, coming out of the same division.
And they did, well, excuse me, I think Mexico City and Lone Star had a fantastic clash this season. And
They
both
did.
of them very much deserve to be in the playoffs.
I think every team in this division, Houston, Lone Star, Fort Worth, and Mexico City, are well-deserving playoff teams. Just such a good division across the board. And I mean, and Lone Star and Fort Worth, that last game of the season that they had was so electric too. Lone Star fighting for their playoff spot over the division leaders, and they end up taking them down to secure playoffs. That was a banger too.
That is it. It is over. The game and the Season 16 regular season as the London Knights send Angus McLean into retirement with a victory. 41-23. The final score. Ryan, break this one down for us.
Well, I can't say much that I haven't said about a million times already. London Knights coming out with a huge display on offense and on defense. I said earlier that they're not quite known for their interceptions, but I think they wanted to prove me wrong, getting 5 interceptions on the day. A beautiful display of defense from out of London. Their offense was working wonders as well. Angus McLean in his final game brought out a gem for his career, and that is one he'll get to keep the game ball, and he'll cherish that for a while as well. And yeah, London's defense also playing really well against Houston, who has a tough offense. They have one of the best passing offenses in the league, and they were still able to hold this team to only 23 points. And a lot of those coming on field goals, and one of those touchdowns coming at the end of the game when it didn't really matter too much to London and they had backups in. So a great display of defense from London across the board. Great display of offense from them. In Houston, in the last game of the season, when they needed to prove themselves, they just fell short.
It was an excellent performance from the drop of the hat from London today as they raced away to an early lead, got a couple of interceptions, turned it into touchdowns. Before you know it, it was 21-3, and after that, London didn't really look back. Warren Murray, 78 yards and a touchdown, probably the best performer on the offensive side for Houston.
Yeah, I think you're right. Warren Murray did have a great performance. He had that huge breakout run. E.T. King having 324 yards, but the 5 interceptions were killer.
Angus McLean goes out as player of the game. 345 yards, 3 touchdowns, 34-42. So for Cameron Irvine, our producer, Tristan Hatley and Mighty RX on stats, and Ryan Caudill as analyst, this is Michael Torillo saying thank you for watching tonight and all season long for the Simulation Football League's 16th regular season. Minor league action comes at you this Friday, and Season 16 playoffs come at you this weekend. Stay tuned to simulationfl.net and our Discord for schedules for all, and have a very pleasant